If you follow this channel, you know that I'm a huge fan of using Lightroom on my iPhone to edit my photos, and not only the ones that I take with the camera app. Because I sync all of my photos, including the ones taken with my Sony mirrorless cameras, to my Lightroom cloud library, I can edit the full resolution RAW files right on my iPhone. And the best part is that Lightroom Mobile's editing tools are really powerful, so I can usually apply a complete edit right on my iPhone. But what's even more exciting is that last week, Adobe announced Photoshop for the iPhone. And the reason why I'm so excited about it is because it expands my editing capabilities even further, letting me do things that I couldn't do in Lightroom, like use Gen Expand and add stylized text, which is something that I actually do a lot of when I create social media content. And what's even cooler is that both Lightroom Mobile and Photoshop for iPhone are available for free, so you can start using them right away. And while Photoshop is currently available for the iPhone, it's also coming to Android, and I'll leave a link below so that you can get notified when Photoshop for Android will be available. And so in this video, what I'd like to do is walk you through a Lightroom editing workflow of a bird photo that I took yesterday with my Sony camera, and then I'm going to send it to Photoshop on my iPhone to expand the edit even further. All right, let's dive in. Okay, here we go. This is the photo we're going to work on. I took this photo yesterday. It's of a red-winged blackbird, and I'm in Lightroom Mobile on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. Now, really quickly to look at the details of the photo, it was taken with my Sony A1 Mark II, which I absolutely love, and the Sony 100 to 400 millimeter telephoto zoom lens with the 1.4 time teleconverter. And so there you can see just the information, the EXIF for the image. And then if I double tap again, there is the histogram. And if I double tap one more time, it hides everything. Really quickly, if you double tap to get to the image info here, if you tap in that info area, it'll cycle through different pieces of information for the image. And then once again, double tapping again opens up the histogram. And then finally, you can hide everything. So generally, this is the first thing that I do with the most recent updates to Lightroom across the ecosystem. So Lightroom Desktop, Lightroom Classic, Lightroom Mobile, and Lightroom Web, we now have adaptive profiles. These are really powerful because they actually use AI to adapt to the image and apply edits to tone and color. And I find that the results are often far better than if you just tap on auto. So here, if you want to access the adaptive profiles, we'll tap on edit over here, and then let's scroll over to profiles, and then you'll see on the left here, there is adaptive color and adaptive black and white. So I'm going to tap on adaptive color. And just right off the bat, let me tap on the check mark here. Look how much better this looks. Like I'm going to hold. Here is the original photo. And then just with the profile, it did such a beautiful job of correcting color and tone. Like no joke, I can be done with this. For the most part, I can just be done because it does look really good. But I do like adding some style. Also, I want to crop and get rid of some distractions. So this is what we're going to do here. First thing I'm going to do is go to the crop tool. Now you see on the bottom there, I'm sticking with the original 2:3 aspect ratio, and I've got it locked. So if you have free here, you can go ahead and just adjust this however you want. But I like to keep the aspect ratio locked in when I'm cropping. So now what I'll do is drag from the top bumper, that top middle bumper, and let's position the crop box kind of like this. So basically there is a nice amount of headroom above the bird. In fact, I might go a little bit tighter like that. No, that's too tight. Let's bring it up a bit more. So something like that. It looks good. Okay, perfect. That's good. And I like the way the tree branch is kind of terminating in the bottom right corner of the frame. Or depending on how you look at it, it's actually coming out of the bottom right corner of the frame. So I'm done with the crop. I'm going to tap on the check mark. And now we can look at our updated composition. Now there are a few things that are bothering me. First, this leaf, it's too close to the bird for me. And then also, you see behind the tail, there's a branch that's out of focus, and that's also distracting. So this is where Gen Remove is perfect. To access it, I'm going to tap on the remove icon here, and I'm going to make sure that generative AI is enabled. Then let's adjust the size slider here to get an appropriately sized brush, something like that. And I'm going to start by removing that area there. You can see that looks good. And then let's go down here and remove that right there. One thing to note is if you tap on the refine button here, You have 3 different variations, so we can walk through these. All 3 of them are fine, so I'll just stick with that first one. I'll tap on done. Then let's go ahead and get rid of this little sprout. So I'm just going to draw that, and that's great, like it was never there. And so now you can see we've gotten rid of those distractions. Once again, if I tap and hold, that is our original. And then with just a few taps, we were able to get here. But we're not done with our edits here. With Adaptive Profile, I found that I very rarely need to do much of any sort of tone or color edits using these sliders here. But I do like applying my S-curve, my precious beloved S-curve, which is my favorite way to add contrast to a photo. Instead of using the contrast slider, I am just adding this S-curve. Then let's go ahead and add a little bit of gray into the black point. Something like that. That looks fantastic. Let's tap on done and let's see where we're at right now. All right, cool. We're looking good, but I want to make the bird a little bit more pronounced and I want the background to be a little darker. So let's start with the background. I'm going to show you a fun, easy, quick way to accomplish that. To do it, I'm going to tap on Quick Actions, which is that magic wand icon on the bottom left over here. Now, Quick Actions will analyze the photo and then surface recommendations in terms of edits to make. So here you can see there's a background option. So I'm going to tap on that. And what happens is you can see that little shimmer effect. It's showing you the selection that was made, which is awesome. And so what I'll do now is take the exposure slider and drag it to the left a little bit just to make it a bit darker. So something like that. Now I'm done. I'll tap on the check mark. So we've taken care of making the background darker. Now let's tap on subject, which makes a mask you can see of the subject, which is fantastic. And I'm going to tap on the pop preset. And boom, I mean, this does a great job. Like it did a fantastic job of brightening the areas that I want brightened and adding a little bit more detail to the bird. So let's tap on the check mark and we're basically done. Like I could have gone to the masking tools here and created these masks and made the edits, but it's just a few taps gets you where you want to be. At least it does for me, which I think is fantastic. Like I didn't have to do anything here. And again, just one more time, if I tap and hold, here is the unedited original raw file. And here's what we're able to get with just a few taps in Lightroom Mobile. Now I'm going to go ahead back to the light panel here, and I'm just going to open up the exposure just a bit, something like that. I'm also going to bring up the histogram just to make sure that we are looking good. And yeah, you can see everything falls in range. This is a really well distributed image in terms of tone and color. And speaking of which, I will go to color here, and I think I'm going to cool this off just a bit like that. All right. So I think we're looking really good. But there is one thing that is driving me absolutely crazy, and this is not something that I could really fix in Lightroom, and it has to do with how I took the photo. This is just my own thing, but if you look, you see the space from the top of the bird's head to the top of the frame. That looks pleasing. But look at the distance from the bottom of the bird's tail to the bottom of the frame. This amount of space here, it's kind of adding a little bit of tension for me. It's just too close. Like it needs just a little bit of breathing room. And so normally this is just something that you'd have a bit of a hard time doing on mobile because Gen Expand is the tool that I want to use and it's not available in Lightroom. So let me show you how you can now use Photoshop for the iPhone. It's a fantastic workflow and it actually works awesome. So let me show you what that looks like. So let me send this to Photoshop. I'm going to tap on the image here, and now I'm going to tap on the share button. You'll see there is this option here, edit in Photoshop. So I'm going to tap on that, and it'll send this image as a PSD to Photoshop on the iPhone. All right, so here, this is Photoshop. This is the interface. It's really innovative. Like I love what the team did and how they thought through working with kind of a layered based workflow. So the first thing I'm going to do, this is the thing I think most photographers will want to know how to do, and that is to use Gen Expand. And it's actually really straightforward. All you need to do is tap on the size icon down here, And the first thing I'm going to do is tap on original because I want to preserve the aspect ratio. And then I'm going to drag from the bottom middle bumper here down. And I'm going to visualize about how much extra space I want. So right around there looks good. Then I'll tap on the Gen Expand icon right over there. You'll see it says Generative Expand on the bottom. You don't need to put in a prompt. All you need to do is tap on Generate. And then let's just kind of adjust the image so we can see the whole thing. And that looks fantastic. I now have more space on the bottom, but we have 3 different variations to look through. All of them look good. I actually like the second one. So I'm going to tap on the check mark to commit that. And now you can see on the bottom right above the plus button, there is this layer icon. And if I swipe to the left, you can see the layers panel, which I think is fantastic. Now, I don't need this separate layer, the generative expand layer. It's okay to combine them. So I'm going to tap on the ellipsis over here and I'll tap on merge visible. So now we just have one layer. Now, this next thing I want to show you, this is for those of you who like to add text to your photos. It's not something that you might do often. I will do it sometimes when I want to share the photo, like on Instagram as a story where I want to add my own text, but I don't want to use other tools. Now I can use Photoshop, and this is super powerful. Let me show you just how cool this is. So let's go ahead. I'm going to close the layer panel here, and I'm going to tap on the plus button, and I'm going to tap on type layer. So here I'm just going to type birds with a bunch of exclamations. Cool. Then I can move it up here. But one, it's sitting over the bird, which we don't want. And 2, it's just kind of this black, boring font. So let's tap on text options. And one of the coolest things I love about Photoshop on the iPhone is when you tap on font family. I mean, there are so many fonts that you have available. If you tap on more fonts over here, I mean, these are all available to you, which I think is super cool. But I'm going to go back here under your fonts, and under my fonts here at the top, I actually like this Montserrat extra bold italic. I use it a lot, actually. All right, let's tap back over here. Let's make the font larger. So you can either type the font size or you can use this kind of jog wheel on the left, which I think is so much fun. And so I'll just kind of make it around that size there, close it, and I'm going to change the color. And so I'll just kind of do a yellow, something like this bright yellow here. You can see it right there. And now what I can do is commit the text layer and I can position it wherever I want. So something like this, maybe over here. But again, the problem is that the text layer is sitting over the bird. And that just doesn't look good. So let me show you how we can fix that using Photoshop's powerful layered workflow and selection tools. I'll go back to the layer panel here and I'm going to go to this original layer, tap on the ellipsis, and I'm going to duplicate that layer. Then I'll put that layer above the text layer. Now you can't see the text layer because the duplicate layer is above it. And so what I want is to be able to show the text behind the bird. Unfortunately, that's really easy to do. With this top layer selected, I'm going to tap on the Create Mask button over here. And this is amazing. So Photoshop will look at the image and it will make selections for you. Well, it won't make the selections, but it'll give you suggestions of any kind of subject or object that it finds in the image. So here, it found the bird. If there were other things to select, then you would see them as thumbnails down here. And so all I need to do is tap on the bird because that makes the selection for me. And you can see the kind of checkerboard pattern. That means that only the bird will be preserved on the layer and it's going to mask everything else out. So when I tap on the check mark and then close the layer panel, you can see now that the text layer is behind the bird. And so you get that really cool effect. And so again, if I want, I can go to my layer panel here, select the text layer, edit the text options, and maybe I want to make this a little bit larger, something like that. That looks good. Tap on the check mark, and we're good to go. And so the only thing that's left to do is bring the image back to Lightroom, which we can do very easily with that button on the top there that says back to LR. So I'm going to tap on that. And now that we're in Lightroom, you can see there is the original RAW file and then the Photoshop file right next to it. And that is being synced to the cloud automatically. So I'll have access to this on all of my other Lightroom surfaces. All right, so those are just some of the workflows that I think would be most relevant to a Lightroom photographer. There are tons of things that you can do just by launching Photoshop by itself. But as the app gets even more powerful, I know there are going to be even more creative things that we can do by sending our photos from Lightroom to Photoshop and back. And I'm definitely going to share them. If that's something that interests you, leave a comment below. I want to know if this Lightroom and Photoshop mobile workflow is something that you're interested in. And of course, if you want to learn everything about Lightroom, desktop, mobile, and web, check out my course called Lightroom Everywhere. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Now, Lightroom Mobile has had several updates over the past few months, and I have these two videos here that will kind of walk you through, in case you missed it, all of the improvements to the app. They are really fantastic. Of course, if you found this video helpful, a thumbs up is greatly appreciated, as is clicking on the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified of all future videos. Thanks a lot, everyone.